Hi there, I'm just jumping on this morning because I saw a video on Crochet Witches Tarot, Krista, that was called Beloved Monster Decks. And I think it's a VR to Fairlight Tarot. I have not seen her video yet. I'm just getting over COVID. So excuse my voice today because I did lose my voice and I'm just now getting it back. But I thought it would be fun to do this tag because I hadn't done a tag in a little bit. And I thought, okay, this is one I can do quickly and easily. So hopefully you have fun watching. So, there's 10 prompts. And the first one is the Frankenstein, a collage deck misunderstood with the heart of gold. And for this, I picked the Bohemian Gothic. This is the second edition. It is my favorite edition because it has the Memento Mori card in it, and which is this one, and it has the beautiful backs. And it's my favorite cardstock. I love the third edition's cardstock at Shuffle Scrape. There's a new version of this coming out that should be shipping in a few days. And I feel like this deck has so much lore around it, and it's misunderstood by people. It is going to be the final printing. You can still get it right now. I'll try and link that below. But it's a deck with a heart of gold that I love. It's such a fun deck to use this time of year. And this is the Bohemian Gothic, and I'll just flip through it. Those Three of Pentacles. And you probably have heard and seen this deck. It's been very, very popular over the years. But it is a great reader, and so very, very fun to use. And I think it's been known kind of as a dark deck, but it's got a really fun sense of humor and is pretty lighthearted. And it's definitely up there with one of my favorite dark decks, and one of my favorite of their decks too. Baba Studios. I mean, I love all their decks, but this one is definitely a favorite. It's one of the ones I use the very most. And obviously it's an indie deck. Done in Prague. Well, you probably recognize some of the scenery. All right, that is the Frankenstein collage deck misunderstood with the heart of gold. And on the second editions, the boxes ended up having a coating on them and they peel off. And I keep it in one of the Baba Studios bags. Oh, I forgot to put in the title card and my Memento Mori card. All right, next prompt is the Dracula, sensual and sophisticated. And for this, I picked, where'd it go? I have it in a little peggy bag. This is the Vampire Tarot of the Eternal Night. And this deck is so sensual and beautiful. And the other one I could have picked for this would have been the Lydia Lescott, as it also has that really sensual feel. I was looking for the box. It's got a big plastic box. Well, you've seen this deck before on my channel. So this is a really fun deck. I think it is maybe out of print now, but it is a mass market deck. And of course, vampire deck. It was in my vampire, I think maybe the first part one of my vampire decks. But very fun to use, great reader. Just gorgeous deck. And in this deck, the images are pretty clear, which I like. And it's definitely kind of a spooky deck. And I do just mostly use this starting in September, maybe through the end of the year. but you could use this one all year round if you like the imagery. A little scary, but very sensual deck. This is on the front of the box. And fun. I have it in the Peggy bag that we're studying tarot vampires right now. And this is the bag that Peggy made for that, but I have it switched because I had a different one for my tarot of vampires. But I love the deck, or the bag. Okay, next prompt is the Werewolf, a deck for the full moon. And for that, I used the Pythonic Tarot. And this is another indie deck that I got probably in 2019, before the pandemic. Used it all the time for the full moon during the pandemic. So I kind of think of it now as a full moon deck. It's a great deck, and it's just beautiful. And it looks like a full moon deck. And it's a hard hitter, great reader. And very, very fun. And it's more lighthearted. I use my Tarot of the Crown a lot of times for the dark moon. And this feels lighter than that, so I use this one for the full moon. But really beautiful, and it's been around for quite a while. It's still available, I think. Definitely on the darker side of things, though. But definitely use it all year. Love that card. Anyway, that is the Pythonic Tarot. Next prompt is the Grim Reaper. Is final and feels immovable. And for that, I picked the Vampire Tarot by Robert M. Place. And there is the box of that. I've lost the deck now. Where'd it go? Hang on. Here it is. So this deck I picked because it is a deck that is so tied into the Bram Stoker's Vampire Tarot that there's not as much flexibility in this deck, and it feels final, and each of the cards is tied into a specific part of the story. And so it doesn't feel as flexible maybe as some other decks. And it reads well and is really intense and strong, and feels like when you get a message from this, it's the final say. And I showed this one. I think this was in my first part of my vampire deck series too. But this deck is out of print, unfortunately. But really easy to get, and I see it around all the time. And it is a fun deck to use. I tend not to use it as much just because it's a little bit hard to shuffle. The corners are square, and I don't want to damage it because I'm trying to just keep this one in good shape. But I use it once in a while, and it is really a fun deck. And it does feel like the final word when you get a message. All right, that is the Grim Reaper. Next is the creature from the Black Lagoon. And this is a deck that loves water and is not afraid of getting dirty. And for this, I picked my Invisible Light Tarot by Brandy Allen. And the reason that I picked this one is because this is a deck that I used all through the pandemic. And I could go to the beach. It's been to the beach a lot and loves the water, not afraid of getting dirty. It's been on the sand a million times. And was just a comfort to me and gave me such great messages. And I am so bonded with this deck that sometimes when I start using it, I put it on breaks, because when I start using it again, I just love just using this deck. And I think partly because of the time and the intensity of things when I used it. And it's got a lot of water in it. So it's my creature from the Black Lagoon. And it's another one of those decks that has a lot of layers. I think she is doing another version of this that is going to be out soon. This one, I don't know if it's out of print or it's just like super expensive on the website now. And then I love that star card where it's in the ocean. But she's doing another series of this deck, and I think she said she's improving it. I don't know what she's doing differently, but that'll be out and probably more of a reasonable price. I think this deck at the time I got it was probably, I don't know, $60 or something, which at that time was so expensive for an indie deck. And it was crazy. I think it was the most expensive deck I'd bought at the time. And, you know, now things have just gone crazy. But I loved it and I really wanted it. So I went ahead and got it. And I'm really glad I did, because I've just ended up using it so much over time. But to me, perfect creature from the Black Lagoon. And that is Brandy Allen's Invisible Light Tarot. And the photography was shot where it was double exposed. So it's got kind of a unique look. Really fun. Next deck is the Freddy Krueger scruffy deck that has a terrifying sense of humor. And for that, I picked the Madame Lydia. And I have a bunch of different versions of the Madame Lydia. And here's a really cool tin one. This is one I just have in a little bag that Don Michelle made. This is a little doll size one. And then there's a little teeny mini one. And so just really cute. But this has some pretty terrifying parts in it for sure. Pretty terrifying cards. And it's really scruffy. And has a sense of humor, but that sense of humor can be quite terrifying. And so I picked this one. And this goes in and out of print all the time. And she does a small, limited number of decks at a time, enough so she can print them and get them out to people without having them wait too much. But there's more and more of them around, because every time she does a printing, there's always somebody that the deck doesn't work for, and so they sell it. So it has a happy squirrel card in it, but it's called Deary Squirrel in this deck. And I do keep that in my deck. And this one is pretty scruffy because I've taken it a lot of places and used it a lot. And so you'll see some of the cards are pretty scratched up in this version. But really, really well done collage deck. Really thought through. And her art is gorgeous. I have some of her t-shirts. I have a bunch of her decks. And I just always think they're cool. But, you know, you can see like right here, I got it scratched. This is somewhat terrifying to me. Somewhat terrifying. This is another one that I got scratched up. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Another scratch there. The deck's pretty scratched up. But it's my fault because of that one's really scratched up, the devil. So it's my scruffy deck. It's meant to be used, and so I use it this time of year and really enjoy it. All right, that's the Madame Lydia. Next deck is Chucky, a doll-like deck that may stab you in the back. And for that, I chose my Tarot of Shadows. And this is, Well, I don't know if it's very doll-like, actually, now that I think about it. It's cute and little, so I was thinking doll-like because of that. It's a scary deck at times, and it's totally one that can stab you in the back. And it doesn't have the suits, it just has the numbers. And then each card is about it relates to people or situations or different symbols or Black Mass, Three Fates, Orpheus, Mirrors, and it can be a very, very intense deck. This is the little version. There's also a bigger version of it that has a big silver box, and it was a special edition. This is just the one that's available now and is mass market and is kind of on the littler side. And I didn't really know what to pick for Chucky because I don't really have a doll deck that stabs me in the back. I have doll decks, and then I have little decks like this that stab me in the back sometimes. And so this is my Chucky. And then the next one is the Zombie, an eerie deck that is hungry for brains. And for that, I had to pick the Zombie Tarot. Yes, I thought, how perfect. So everybody's probably seen this deck. It's super fun. I've shown it on my channel before. But it's definitely a deck hungry for brains. And it's such a fun deck that is such a great reader that pretty much everybody loves. If you don't have this deck, this is a great deck to have. And it's mass market and easily available and just super fun to use. And I had to use that for my zombie prompt. I just love it. I think it's so cute and so fun and so zombie-like. Zombie with a sense of humor. All right. I'm sure you've seen that one. Zombie Tarot. Next prompt is the Pennywise the Clown. A deck that is deceivingly whimsical, but is actually very intense. And for that one, I picked the Nightmare Before Christmas deck. And I got this the day it came out. It was a present. And I love this deck still. And it is whimsical, but a hard-hitting deck. And it can be very intense at times. The readings can. And I love everything about this deck. I love the suits. I love the pips. And the pips are really cool in this deck. I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's just fun. And I love the Nightmare Before Christmas, the presents. But I just thought this deck was so well done. I think it's the only one of this brand. I forgot the brand name. Yeah. Inside Editions or something, I think maybe. I can't remember. I think that it's the only one of theirs I've ever got. I think. But I thought it was really cool. And really tied into the movie. If you love the movie, you'll love the deck. And really just thoughtful. And maybe because I'm such a big fan of the movie that I love it so much. But I have a big Sally doll out on my porch that I put out every year. So kind of scares people when they come up to trick or treat. Anyway, really fun deck. Nightmare Before Christmas. And I have a really fun Moonlit Fae bag that it goes in. I think Krista has the same bag I do for this deck. I think I've seen it on her channel. Next prompt is the Mummy, a deck covered in many layers. And for that, I picked the Ian Daniels Vampire deck. And I might switch this bag out. This is a Peggy bag that I had before, but love this. So this deck, the guidebook makes this even more special than it is. And I've done different study groups with this deck. I did the one with Al Moon that was amazing. Right now we're studying it in Lisa Pepez's channel, and that's why we had the extra bags for it. But this deck is just, it has so many layers. It's got so much depth. The guidebook is so good. It is an amazing deck. And I've gotten to where I just absolutely love the art in it now too. When I first got it, I liked the guidebook, but I wasn't as fond of the art. And then I just did the study group. I think the one this year was, we did it for a whole month. I think it was in February. And that was the only deck I used then. So it was really fun. Well, thank you for watching. I am super excited to see all the rest of the videos, but I wanted to do a quick VR before I watch anybody else's. And I'm going to go watch Fairlight Tarot's first. And then I can't wait to see everybody else's decks. All right. Take care. See ya. Bye.